Hey guys, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty for today's top 3 and bottom 3 comics of April 20th, 2022. Alright, we'll first start with the ones that I think you should avoid. The ones that'll help save you money by not buying. Let me say this though. And from what I've read anyway this week, this wasn't a terrible week. This is actually a pretty solid week. So it was pretty hard to get to the top and bottom on this one. Whereas usually there's a real stinker. Like last week there was that Spider-Punk one, which boy did that circle the toilet bowl really hard. But this one was a little more challenging, but still we do have a top and bottom 3. So first, we're going to go with number 3 of the bottom ones, the ones that just didn't quite measure up. And this one was disappointing to me. The first one was Suicide Squad Blaze number 2. I gave it, and just so you know, I gave it a 7.1. Yeah, that's the number 3 low one, 7.1. It was not my favorite art style for the comic, but they're going for a darker, gritty look, so it sort of works, just not what I was looking for. Sometimes I find this art style, unless done right with the right coloring and inking, can even make it some of the images hard to tell what the heck was supposed to be there in the panel, and I ran into that in a few spots with this issue. It is an interesting Elseworld story, but after reading the last issue, this one just sort of dropped the ball a little bit. The story was a bit slow, and it tried too hard to be edgy. It really did. The book spent too much time trying to be cool, hip, dark, and edgy, and it just tried too hard, so it didn't succeed very well. The number 2 on the lower end received a 7 out of 10, and that was Venom number 7. I know some people are loving this. I'm not really digging the direction of this book, though. The story to me just doesn't seem to be anything special. It doesn't have what made Venom an interesting character, but the art's good. The art's been solid, so I'll give it that. So Venom gets a 7. Alright, for the number 1, the Avoid, because this was not worth your time, got a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, still a 6.5. What do you think about it? 7's like an average, like a C. 6.5 is a D, almost a D+. And that's going to be Captain Carter number 2. Yeah. It's just, I'm not a big fan of the story. Once again, this seems like something that we've seen time and time again. And the establishment's the problem. The newcomer comes in, it doesn't realize it, gets a wake-up call from the groups around them not understanding what's really going on. Marvel likes to go to that well way too much. It's really, once again, another bad cliche. The art was okay, but nothing like, oh my goodness, it makes up for a crap story kind of thing. So that's the issue I would avoid. But now let's talk about the ones that I would say, hey, these are worth your money, you probably should get. And the first one, number 3 on the list, is Green Lantern number 12. I gave it a 7.3 out of 10. Yeah, this one surprised me because I didn't expect this one to be up here. But the art seems solid. I tend to like the art on this one more than I have on the last few in the series. And I didn't really care for the overall story. I thought it was a little slow and boring. Don't get me wrong. But the ending of this one is where I found it interesting. It had a lot of potential. It gives a lot of potential for a good new direction for the series. So it'll be interesting to see if they can use this as a moment to propel the series and do a better job than what they've done. Number 2 here. This one I've been enjoying, but I don't think it's hit this high yet. And it's Future State Gotham number 12. I gave this a 7.5 out of 10. So once again, just eked out Green Lantern with a 7.3 out of 10. This had a 7.5. Once again, that's Future State Gotham. I thought the art style is okay. It makes sense for this style of issue. I like the story direction it's having with the Hush character. it's been interesting. And I really enjoyed the art style for the second story in it. Actually, the second story is what saved it. It was a little lower at first, but that second story, The Man Who Flies, the artwork in that one, the story notched it up a little bit. So that's what got it to be the number 2 position of comic books to get. But before I go into the final one, the one that got number 1, let me talk about a couple that didn't make it into either the bottom 3 or the top 3. And one of those was Batgirl's number 5. I didn't really care for the art style. I have not since this since this series has begun, but I actually found this issue to be better. It was better than the last few. And it was even, dare I say, a bit charming and a bit fun. So I gave that a 7.2. I only read, I think there were 7 issues. Yeah, so that was the only one that didn't make the top or bottom. That was right in the middle of the 7.2. Didn't make the bottom, didn't make the top. And the top one, the one I think you should read, and this is interesting too, and I'm probably on a lot of other people's lists, and that's Flashpoint Beyond number 0 of 6. I gave it a 7.8 out of 10, almost an 8. I was teetering on there. And this is the interesting thing, and this is sort of troublesome here, because it's going to have a different writer going forward. And usually issue 0s to me I find to be throwaway garbage, but this one actually is pretty good. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of neat little things and Easter eggs for DC fans in there. Like if you look at the board that they showed, and this is not spoiling anything, they showed this in a lot of other DC comic books. Batman discovers this board, it says 5G averted on it, and gives references to other interesting things that have happened or in the process of happening or going to happen. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, 5G is averted, but it's still like they're still steering, DC is still steering the ship in the iceberg. But this one's pretty good. And, you know, I just hope it doesn't turn out to be more of the mess that they've already made out of the DC universe. I hope they can use this to right ship. But once again, it's going to have a different writer when it comes to the next issue. So I can't say it's going to be a great series, but this was a good start. It was interesting. It caught my attention, and I do want to see where DC takes this next. So my number 1 was Flashpoint Beyond number 0 out of a series of 6. 0 of 6 was actually 7 issues with a 7.8. So that's my top 3 and bottom 3 of April 20th, 2022. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you get? Is there any that I didn't read that maybe I should have, because they should have been in my top or bottom 3? Because hey, I can't read everything. There's only so much time and so many dollars out there to spend on this stuff. So usually I get a little bit more in, but this was a little bit of a thin week for me to even want to bother with. But as I said, the ones what I read, there wasn't anything really toilet bowl material. Maybe not so great with Captain Carter, but it still wasn't so terrible it was offensive and atrocious. So what have you read? What are you gonna read? What should I read? And I want to say thank you to these people, because without these people, this video would not be possible. They're amazing. They've been supportive of this channel on Patreon as well as Subscribestar. If you want to help too, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, some of the best ways. Leave a comment, that really helps too. But if you find yourself in a position to help me by financially doing this, I greatly appreciate it. For as little as $1 a month on Subscribestar, which would be great if you did that, or Patreon, because my Subscribestar, before I can get any payouts, you have to have 5 people hooked up on it. I only got 1 right now, and I had one before, but they were on a long time, and they're no longer on there because some people can't give forever. And hey, still thankful, but I never did collect any of that because once again, you have to have 5 people and so many dollars before I even get a payout. But I thank you so much for the support. It's been phenomenal and awesome. I appreciate every one of you. I really do. And for the people that do support it, you get special videos, special comments in there and things, as well as music that you can download to use for your videos or for anything you want. So it's just there for you. And once again, it's a big thank you, because without you, this wouldn't be possible. You are all amazing. So thank you. Until next time, keep it frugal.